Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jarvis S. Scott with What's Happening in Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with Mr. Jacques Austin and Mr. Rashad Hayes. They're here with Brothers Let's Talk. Brothers Let's Talk. I like this intro to it. Fellas, how did y'all come up with this great name? It's like a great service and events y'all doing for the community.
Well, Brother Let's Talk says exactly what we're doing. We're going out into the community and having conversations with African-American men of color to address mental health.
How did y'all get started with it?
Well, Brother Let's Talk consists of all mental health professionals, or individuals working in the mental health field, men of color. And the way we came together, I think 2017, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. And actually it was Easter Sunday in 2017, I saw that video where Steven Stevens went on Facebook Live and he killed Robert Godwin. Well, prior to that killing, he was on the phone talking with one of his fraternity brothers. And he's telling them, like, man, you know, every time I try to talk to y'all, y'all blow me off. And I've been dealing with a lot of anger. I got a lot of stuff pent up inside of me. And there's a lot of black men who has a lot of things pent up inside of them. But what we wanted to do was to create a conversation, create an environment where black men are able to come together and stop the stigma that prevents a lot of us from going to seek mental health services and address a lot of the stress that black men have or men of color have.
What are some things you've seen so far from some of your events?
Oh, wow. What we've seen in our events, well, we're really just the participation at first, you know, because when you say mental health,
people think folks crazy.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times, you know, we're kind of raised with that stigma. You know, I don't want nobody calling me crazy. I don't need to go see no psychiatrist. I don't need to see no shrink, but that's not what it is. So what we wanted to do, as our motto says, stop the stigma and address the stress. Let's identify what is the stigma that exists that prevents individuals from wanting to seek mental health. And so once we do that, we can begin to address the stress that they're dealing with at home, at work, and in their community.
I think one thing I'd like to add to it is it's almost like opening the door. Before you can open that door, you got to stick that key in to unlock the door. So when we come in, we're trying to unlock that door to let you know, like, hey, you can talk about this. You don't have to pin it up anymore. You don't have to hide behind that door no more. You know, you can find help. You can seek help. And I think that's one thing we do a great thing at. And at every event, you see it. Because at the end, people are embracing us with hugs or they high-fiving us or just finding ways to just want to stay engaged with us.
So one thing I like about you all's concept, you all do these in barbershops for the most part. And everybody knows, especially in the black community, the barbershop is like the traditional meeting place, whether it's on the, you know, females with the salon, and whether it's the guys, it's the barbershop. And it's our own little man cave, and we have our own different types of conversation. So you feel like that particular venue brings out the intimate conversation?
It does. When we came together, like I said earlier in 2017, we were really just kind of brainstorming where can we have these particular events. So where is it that men typically gather, have conversation, and feel comfortable about opening up? And so we said, well, let's do it in the barbershop. And so what we do, in addition to the barbershop talks, we hold community events. Now, the barbershop talks are men only. And so where men come together and we talk about male issues and mental health around a lot of those, around all of those issues. We typically do it on a Sunday afternoon. We'll have food. So conversation is always great when you got a plate in front of you. You know,
they don't fall asleep after they've been eating.
No, man, that's the thing. The dialogue that occurs during this time, though, because where we're different, you'll probably see other organizations or other events where they're having barbershop talks. Where we differ is that we have licensed mental health professionals in there. Now, it's not therapy, but with our professional skills, we're able to facilitate and guide the discussion, but then also address how to cope with a lot of the issues that they're going through. But the most important part is that the individuals that are there see individuals that look like them, that talk like them, that work in the mental health profession. So in that essence, we're kind of helping to break down that stigma that occurs.
All right, and one thing I was thinking about as you was talking too, do you, and forgive me if I'm jumping ahead of curve, do you think this problem is prevalent because normally in the black community it's a lot of single parent household, mainly with the female being the head? There are a lot of, young brothers don't want to talk,
I don't think that's the main contributing factor. In our conversations, there are a lot of different variables that come out. Where you'll have one young man where it was an issue that dad wasn't in the house, and you have another young man, it was an issue because dad was in the house, and a lot of things that went on. But the main thing is being able to open up and have a dialogue, so that person isn't walking around bottling up a lot of stress. They're not walking. I think I had someone, the term sort of the walking wounded, where someone has dealt with some traumatic experience, hadn't really learned those coping skills. So what they've been doing to try address their grief, to try and address their grief or their trauma, is turn to maybe drugs or alcohol, or maybe becoming abusive because they don't know how to deal with the hurt other than express anger. And so having that conversation about how to identify and address certain emotions and getting them in a space where they're comfortable opening up and talking about it. Again, it's not therapy, but it's just a dialogue and an increasing their awareness about mental health, and building, the strength and building that bridge of letting them know that there are resources out there. And that's another thing that we do is if someone identifies that they need further service, we'll make the appropriate referrals or let them know about those resources that are out there.
One of the things I noticed as the pamphlet you gave me that was kind of eye-raising was about suicide rates with black men. And suicide is something that's really taboo in the black community because especially from the religious standpoint of it, it's like, you're not gonna kill yourself. God's gonna punish you. And things, and plus we don't talk about those things,
right,
and everything. So, can you speak a little bit more about that and suicide rates?
Well, I think in there you talk about suicide being a third leading cause of death among a certain age group of black men. And like you said, when I was growing up, suicide wasn't heard of in our community. But now it's become a lot more prevalent even among younger age groups. So what we want to do again is to address a lot of that stigma that occurs, and if it helps to curb the likelihood that a suicide might occur, if it helps to curb or to prevent the likelihood that someone may go out and commit some sort of domestic violent act, So our whole goal again is to address mental health and address African American men and boys to be able to open up and, like I said, bridge that gap between that community and the mental health community.
If you just had to take a gauge of, the ages of black men that come to your event, is it from teens up to maybe adults and 40s, 50s sometimes?
Yeah, so I know what I noticed is we see a lot of young adults. So you're seeing around, when I say young adults, like 18, what would you say, about 40, 60?
Well,
so
we've had
it varies in age,
18 to I think probably early 70s. Because I remember a barbershop talk that we had late last year, downtown Birmingham. There was a young man in there in his early 20s who was addressing some issues that he had because his father was out of his life at a young age, but then wanted to come into his life here within the past 5 years. And he dealt with a lot of anger because of his father not being there early on. But there was a gentleman in there who was probably in his early 70s. And he was able to, share some advice, share some wisdom with him. And the conversation that occurred between those two generations, I don't think it would have occurred between them any other place than at that spot at that time.
So most of the men that come to your events, do most of them know each other, or it's just like almost like complete strangers in a way?
Somewhat, they're like complete strangers where they either go to school and they may have seen each other around, but not like, hey, I know you type thing. But I will say after they leave the events and they realize, hey, this brother goes to the same struggle I do, and I can see them, they want to link up now. They know they have somebody else that can relate to them that understands their stress. And I think that's the biggest thing about Brother Let's Talk. Even with our group, our members of Brother Let's Talk, we're talking about generations. We think about Jacques, he experienced some things that he grew up that I never experienced, and vice versa. But we can talk about it and then relay our messages to the masses, and everybody just attached to it. They see like, oh man, this is how it works. It's almost like the term "my brother's keeper." This is my brother. He's my keeper. He's making sure I'm okay. And I replay it. I in turn, I do the same thing to the next young man and older gentleman that may need my advice.
I'm glad you kind of spoke on that, because I wanted to ask you next. What about, I always say red flags. Like, for example, the brother he was talking about, he was telling his fraternity brothers, hey, I need help. What are some red flags that, if somebody's watching this right now, they could approach a brother or a person and say, hey, I think you need to talk to, mental health or, psychiatrist, things like that?
Well, I say, the individual that you're concerned with, some things that are out of character for them. Mm-hmm. If they're quick to anger, mm-hmm. Or if they're isolating, or if you notice some changes in some minor behaviors, such as, they get aggressive over something that's really kind of small. And it really depends on that individual, what they may be going through. Someone may be dealing with some grief or finding themselves becoming a little more depressed. They may tend to isolate, or for whatever reason, they used to come and hang out with you, but now they don't want to do it anymore. When they do come around, they're kind of quiet and to themselves or whatever. Or you just notice some key changes. The key thing is really don't be afraid to have the conversation, to talk about it, about some things that identify. I think a lot of times as men, we want to kind of like, oh man, you all right, go on, shake it off, go on. No, let's sit down and have this conversation about what it is that I really noticed with you. Dog, you don't come around too much no more, and that you kind of blew up yesterday. Is everything all right? And like, no man, I'm all right. It's like, okay, all right. But what I like and what I hope that everyone will be able to identify Brother Let's Talk as that place that, they could say to their, to their homeboy, man, it's an event going on at the barbershop next month. I'd like for you to come with me, and then they come, share some advice, share some information, and be able to, open that door where that individual is now more likely to seek services.
All right. So great segue. So when's the next upcoming event?
Our next event is this Tuesday, June the 11th, at the Bessemer Recreation Center. Now, as I said, in addition to the barbershop talks, we have community events. The event coming up Tuesday is a community event. Everyone's invited who all wants to come. And the topic there, what men think. I think it'll be a really interesting topic. After that, we'll have a barbershop talk, I believe coming up on the 30th. But one key thing, one great event that we have coming up in September 6th, Dr. Patricia Newton will be coming to Birmingham to talk about generational trauma, sexual trauma. And hopefully, as we're putting that together, that'll be a great event. And you'll hear more about that. Okay, so for more information, where do they go? Go to brotherletstalk.com or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. And, be on the lookout for us. We'll like us on Facebook, and we'll be sure to send out our information when we're having our events. All right. And any other final thoughts? Anything you want to add? Well, no, I appreciate you interviewing us and getting the information out.
So I think the one thing I want to add is that when I got started with this, I call myself a regular person. I was just a regular Joe. And I was just at one of their events, and I ended up speaking up at this event, and me speaking up allowed me a different avenue. It allows me now to speak to other people. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you, the viewers that are watching right now, stand silent is no longer a punishment. Why are you still punishing yourself? Come with us to Brother Let's Talk. Just come with us in general. Let's talk about it. You're not alone. We're right there with you. I promise you. You keep coming to our events, you'll realize there's a lot of trauma that we all face, but we break it down and make it to where we can all digest it. You don't have to be in pain no more. I hope to see you at the next event. All right. Well, Jacques, Rashad, thank you for coming on today. And you all, for more videos, please check out what's happening Birmingham.com. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.